and welcome to this training event on how to use OCR's grade submission system. My name is Kate Marriott and I am the Customer Support Manager for the North West and the West Midlands. By the end of this video, I hope you will feel confident in using and navigating your way around the grade submission system. I'll be showing you how to log in, add your teachers, input your teacher assessed grades, send to your head of centre for approval, and the head of centre declaration and submission to us at OCR. There are some FAQs, user guides and step-by-step instructions on our website to accompany this video. To log in, enter your email address and your password. Now you'll see here that it says that I've got access to multiple centres. So this is for those exams officers who are responsible for multiple centres. You can toggle between the centres. For the majority of you watching this video today, this won't be relevant, and when you log in, you will go straight through to your centre's dashboard. And for those of you that do manage multiple centres, you can see from this navy header, it's saying I've got access to multiple centres and the centre that I am currently working on. And this Switch Centres toggle button allows me to toggle between the centres when I'm inputting the grades. You don't need to log out and log back in for each centre. So before we start to look at the information on the dashboard, the first step is to manage my users. I need to click on the drop-down arrow at the top right of the screen and select Manage Teachers. And here, I would add any teachers who are going to be responsible for uploading grades. I should say at this point that this process will vary from centre to centre. It is up to you to make a decision internally as to who will be responsible for inputting the data. For many centres, there will be no users to add at this point because it is just the centre administrator, who is usually the exams officer, who will be responsible for inputting grades this summer. But if you have decided that teachers will upload their own grades, or maybe each head of department would input all of the grades for their subject, then you would need to enter their details here so that they have access to do that. And you add their name and their email address. Select Add Teacher. And you can see once those details have been entered, they will appear in a list under the current teachers box. So that teacher will receive a verification email asking them to log in and set themselves a password. The verification email will expire after 5 days if they do not action it. And if that is the case, you can select here Resend Invite and then they can set their password. You can add as many teachers as is necessary here. All of those with access to the system will show in a list on this screen. If you wish to remove a teacher, you simply select Delete. And that teacher now will have no access to the system. If you select Manage Head of Centre, your head of centre should already be listed as the information is taken from last year's grade submission system. If you need to amend your head teacher, then you would do so in the same way as I showed you for teachers. Please note that there can only be one head of centre listed in the system at any one time. So if you do need to amend and replace the current head of centre, you need to select Delete and then add a new head of centre. And once your teachers and head of centre details are correct, we now need to enter the teacher assessed grades. So on this dashboard, you will see all of the qualifications for my centre. You can choose to filter by qualification to reduce the number that appear. And today we're going to be demonstrating using a GCSE qualification. You will see in this status bar here is telling me that there are 5 candidates entered for GCSE Art, Craft and Design J170. And you can also see that the process has not started. You can also see a download button. This allows me to download a qualification spreadsheet which will have all candidates entered for this particular qualification. You can go into each qualification in turn and download the spreadsheet. A new feature for summer 2021 is the Centre Grade Report. This report will show all of your centre's grades submitted across all qualifications. So you can download this and save it securely so you have a record of all the teacher assessed grades submitted to OCR this summer. So if you select the qualification we wish to work on, all the candidates that have been entered for GCSE Art, Craft and Design have appeared on this screen here. And to enter a grade, you simply click on the relevant grade for each candidate. It's worth noting that there's no save button for you to press. The system cleverly auto-saves every keystroke. So when you have inputted a grade and move your cursor, it will auto-save. This button here will show this now. You will be logged out of the system after 30 minutes of inactivity, but no data will be lost due to this auto-save feature. And this is how we would manually input the grades into the system. You would work through each candidate's name in turn and each qualification. You can sort and filter via candidate name, either via A to Z or Z to A, and you can also filter via their grade. At any point in the process, I can click Check for Errors, and the system intuitively warns me that this qualification contains errors. And more importantly than alerting me to the error, it tells me what the issue is. There are 2 candidates with missing teacher assessed grades, so it's really clear to see if there's a problem. We only have a few candidates in this test site today, so it's easy to enter the grades directly onto the screen. However, if you have large cohorts and don't wish to manually each grade for every candidate, or a more likely scenario is, I expect many of you will have already gathered your grades in an Excel spreadsheet, then you can choose to upload your data via CSV spreadsheet. If you click Download Template, I get a message there on the screen to tell me that I am about to download a template for the qualification that I have selected. A key point here, it tells me that this will include any information that I've already entered. So the system allows you to part input your grades manually and part input them via CSV spreadsheet upload. You do not have to do one or the other. You can do a combination of the 2 methods. So any data that I've already entered will be included in this template that I download. So the downloaded template is available to view in Excel, and it shows all the details for the qualification and the candidates that are entered for that qualification. You may need to adjust your column headings so that you can see all of the information. The template defaults to candidate number order, but you can apply a filter and you can sort them into any order to make it work for you. You just need to make sure that it's back in candidate order when you upload your template to the system. And the only information I need to enter here is the grade. So I can do this by manually entering the data into the relevant column. Or if you've already got that data saved in an Excel spreadsheet, you could simply copy and paste into this spreadsheet. This is a GCSE qualification, so it's a numerical grade set, but if you were working on an A-level or one of our vocational grades, the system does not accept lowercase grades. It will throw up an error if you try to upload that. So you just need to make sure for A-levels or for our vocational qualifications that you're using capital letters. And if you save the spreadsheet in the usual way, the file name defaults to your centre name and the qualification code. And the next step in the process is to upload our template. So we click the Upload Template button. And I get a warning message there that's saying that uploading a template will overwrite any teacher assessed grades that are already in the system. So it's really important to note that I will overwrite anything currently entered in the system at the point that I upload this spreadsheet. So it's really important to make sure that there are not multiple users entering the same qualification data at the same time. So it's possibly important to make that to your teachers when you set them up at the beginning, that they need to be aware that they potentially could be overwriting each other. So if I select the file to upload, and you can see there from that status bar, it's going along the bottom and the circle is telling me that it's just checking my template, it's checking that it's all in the right format, and it's checking it for viruses. And it does take a few moments to upload into the grade submission system. And you can see as it's retrieved that qualification, that red warning banner across the top has disappeared because now all of the grades are correctly entered into the system. And as this is a GCSE, you can see that the grading structure is 9-1. If it was an A level, it would be A star to E. For Cambridge Nationals or Cambridge Technicals, it would be pass, merit, distinction, and so on. There is an unclassified grade, a U grade. You can award a U grade to any candidate that has not achieved the minimum requirement to pass the qualification. You can also see there's an X grade, and the X grade can be used if you have a candidate who you do not have the required evidence to award a grade. We expect there to only be a few of these nationally, as you would have hopefully withdrawn any candidates and they therefore wouldn't appear in the grade submission system. Any candidate receiving an X grade will show as a no result on their statement of results. And the process for inputting and submitting grades is the same for all qualifications. However, there are a few additional things that you do need to do for Cambridge Technicals. So I'm going to show you now what to do for Cambridge Technicals qualifications. So Performing Arts Level 3 Cambridge Technical 05853. 5 candidates have been entered and we haven't yet started the process of uploading teacher assessed grades. The system will be populated with any first registrations you have made since the 1st of September 2018. And so you will see all candidates, not just those who you will be submitting a teacher assessed grade for this summer. You enter your grade directly onto the system in the usual way. But you will also notice that there is a Pathways column. Pathways are available to students that complete a certain number of units. Specialist endorsements are available if a candidate achieves enough units from a particular pathway, and these can be mandatory or optional depending on the qualification. Not all Cambridge Technicals qualifications have a pathway. So if there's no pathway, you will not see that column on the screen. If it's an optional pathway, that will appear on the screen, but you don't have to select a pathway because it's optional for that qualification. And if it's a mandatory pathway, you must select a drop-down or the system will give you an error on upload. So you work through each candidate, adding a grade and a pathway in turn. If you're entering via the CSV template, then you will need to select Download Pathways before you download your template. And that way you can copy and paste from the Download Pathways template the correct pathway to paste into the CSV spreadsheet. The pathway that you enter will appear on the candidate's certificate, so it's really important that you check that it's accurate. More details about pathways are available in each of the qualifications specification and also in the entry codes booklet. So in this example, I have graded those students who are to receive a teacher assessed grade this summer. I've left the other candidates blank because they are not certificating this summer. But like I just mentioned now, that all candidates that are registered from the 1st of September 2018, they will appear here. So I can select X on the screen for those candidates who are not to receive a qualification this summer, but I suspect that you've probably got a large number of those candidates, and so the system allows you to bulk upload that X grade. And the way to do that is to select Set List as Complete. And it's telling me there on that message that there are 3 candidates that have no grades added for this qualification. So those candidates without a grade will be set to X to indicate that they have no grades for submission, for example, because they are not completing the qualification yet. And you can see there that all those candidates have achieved that X grade. The pathway has disappeared because they're not receiving a qualification result this summer. And just to let you know that this is not an unclassified or a fail. It's just that they're not ready to achieve that qualification this summer. So if I go back to our GCSE art and design that we just entered a moment ago, you can now see on this status bar, it's telling me that 5 out of 5 candidates have been completed, and the button there has suggested it's now completed, and it's ready now to send to my head of centre for approval. You can see that that message is displayed clearly there. All the data has been entered and it's ready to send for approval. And the way we do this is by selecting the highlighted Send for Approval green button. So it's telling me there that I'm about to send my teacher assessed grades for this particular qualification to the head of centre to approve. It's also telling me there that I'm not able to make any changes once I have sent this, and am I sure that I wish to do that? So that's saying it's now been sent for approval to the head of centre. It's worth noting there is no messaging functionality within the system, and so you do need to have a centre specific process to alert your head of centre to let them know that the qualification is waiting approval. And once I've done this, you can see this qualification is waiting approval, and it's now saying over here it is view only mode. I cannot make any amendments at this point. And that is the process for entering teacher assessed grades. I'm now going to log in as the head of centre to show you the next stage of the process, how to approve and complete the head of centre declaration. So you can see the user access has changed up here to the head of centre. And I can see clearly that I have one qualification waiting for approval. I can see from this screen that it's GCSE Art, Craft and Design that needs to be viewed and approved, but I could also filter from this drop-down list which of the qualifications are ready for approval. So it is my job to check the evidence for each candidate and check that the right academic judgment has been applied and the correct grade has been entered. If at any point I wish to send back for a further review, I would click this button here and it would go back to the original user. I'd have to explain the rationale and the context as to why I was rejecting it, and they would need to amend and re-upload. But once the grades are correct, I would select Approve. And there you get the head of centre declaration. It's asking me to confirm that the grades are correct, they've been checked for accuracy, they have been applied the appropriate academic judgment, and we've met all of the Ofqual guidance on making these grades this summer. And I sign it off by ticking and submitting. It now tells me that this qualification has been approved and submitted, and it's in view only mode. It is not possible to amend any information submitted to us at this point. But you can view the information on screen, and you can also download the completed spreadsheets per qualification. So you can do that from the download button. That will download the completed grades for that qualification, or via the new centre grade report, which would have all qualifications and all grades. You can obviously download these reports, keep them securely in your centre as a record for the grades that have been submitted. I hope that you found it useful seeing a live walkthrough of the system. There are also some frequently asked questions, step-by-step and user guides to accompany this video on our website. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.